Hey, how's it going there, folks? Welcome back here to a Sunday. It is the Earthmaster here, March 17th, 2024, 11:44 a.m. here, California time. Latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D globe is going to give us looks like a 1.7 up into the Alaska area. We'll check out the rest of the earthquake activity around the globe here in just a minute. Looking at a webcam live view here live from Iceland.is. Still showing quite a bit of eruptive activity taking place there northeast of Grindavik, where we've just seen yesterday we just seen the eruptive activity take place there. The fourth one here in the past few months. This one is still kind of going strong. Normally by now things would have died off by now, but it looks like there is quite a bit of volume of magma below the surface, intensifying and increasing this specific eruption. That's one view of the Iceland area. Another one here. See what this one's showing. Again, a little bit broader view. One section of the eruptive fissure, or the fissure area, still showing eruption activity. So getting a little cone activity here, typical of what you would see in a field with lava coming up. Look at that. See these little cones? Pretty neat looking. So this is still ongoing in terms of the activity. Now, let me blow this up here just a little bit. This is the latest informational statement from the Icelandic Met Office here, Meteorological Office, put out 1840 UTC time. And right now, the current UTC time is going to be about 1844. So this was just put out. The lava has slowed substantially. However, as we just checked out there, it has not stopped the lava flow, which is continuing very slowly. It looks like right about 12 meters per hour right now. Slowed down quite a bit since last night. There's an aerial view. I believe this was put out from... this was last night, so this is a little old, but it did show the area of Grindavik down here, and then the two lava flows, which are continuing to work its way southward. Now, they did build up a berm around a certain area here of Grindavik. Let me show you guys here on the map. Protective barrier. This is the older lava flow from back in January. So the other activity is coming down from the north here, but we're already pretty close into this region. The barrier is now, obviously doing a good job of preventing that magma from flowing westward towards Grindavik. Assuming this, so we got about 12 meters per hour for the current lava flow. Assuming the same speed of movement, it will take the front an additional 20 hours to reach the main road, which is down here, right here. And then it would take an additional 350 meters forward motion before the lava could reach the sea. So it's possible, but that's that's 20 hours. We'd have to have a little bit more output in terms of magma before that makes it out there to sea. In the event of lava interacting with seawater, obviously we chatted about this last night. Hydrogen chloride, acid, right, which is not cool. Definitely not want to be in that area, pending it does interact with the seawater. There will be a range of volcanic hazards due to the sudden cooling of the lava. Initially, these hazards would compromise localized tephra deposition, which is solid volcanic particles, and the formation of volcanic gases, principally hydrogen chloride, HCl, within about a radius of 0.5 kilometers from the entry point into the sea. And obviously that would be not a zone to be in because of those hazardous gases. Being around volcanic gases in general is hazardous enough, but once it mixes with the seawater there, you get that hydrogen chloride acid, which is not good. So I think, I don't know 100% if we're going to be able to, if this is going to be able to reach the sea. It has slowed down, again, very drastically from last night. It looks like right now it's about 250 meters from the main road on the southern coast of the Reykjanes Peninsula, which would probably put it right about here. Now, I'm not seeing any updated map in terms of specific lava location, but obviously it's gotten much closer there to the sea, and as we can see from last night, very close to the main road down there in the southern Iceland area. So it's one of those things, if this continues, to put out some volume of magma and continue this lava flow, a lava field, then we could be looking at the potential of it going off to sea. But it's hard to say right now, as far as if we're going to see that continue. It's actually, as I mentioned, lasting for quite a while compared to the last couple eruptions. So the volume of magma, I feel, was a little bit more elevated compared to the last couple eruptions, which seemed like it should have ended by now, right, compared to other ones. But beautiful area. I mean, it's beautiful view, absolutely stunning. But I think, for it to reach the sea, we would have to see this continue for quite a while. And we'll check back up on it and report back on anything. Let me see what we got here for a different view. Now, it does look like, let's see, let me go back over here to the home page. So based on the development of the eruption today, and this was part of the newer update, their assessment is that lava flow into the sea is an unlikely scenario. However, until the eruption ends and lava propagation stops entirely, it remains an outcome to consider for hazard assessment purposes. So, assuming the same speed of 12 meters per hour, it would take the southern lava front 2 days to reach the coastline. Goodness. Crazy. All right, so we'll continue to watch it and report back on it. As long as lava is still flowing through the fields there, we'll possibly see a chance of it reaching the sea. But again, that looks like it may be an unlikely scenario due to the extreme slow speed that's taking place right now. Earthquake activity around the region has been drastically non-existent, except for up north here. We do have a 3.7 coming in here just within the last few minutes, it looks like, up across the northern rift zones here of Iceland. A little odd. But there's not a whole lot of earthquake activity around our Reykjanes Peninsula here, where we're seeing our current ongoing activity. The GPS stations out here have pretty much dropped like a rock as well, indicating depletion of the magma intrusion area. Check out the Grindavik area, which is down right about here. These are the 8-hour run times. Here is the current last couple 8-hour run times. Notice a huge drop here, about 100 millimeters or so in terms of inflation. This is the vertical displacement up. We definitely dropped. We dropped back in February as well. And each eruption, obviously, we'll see that huge droppage take place there in the inflation chart. The question is how long this is going to last. We'll just have to watch it and see and report back on anything that takes place out there. All right, earthquake activity. That one did pop up here on the globe, I think. No, actually, not being reported yet out there. But as we've seen there on the Icelandic office earthquake map, it did show a 3-pointer out there north of the Iceland region. 4.7 out here in the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. This is from early this morning, about 1 o'clock or so. As far as newer activity, let's take a look. It looks like a 4-pointer down there in the Gulf of California. Could be adding some strain up here. Also a 3-pointer, right? 3.9 it looks like. This earthquake fairly deep though. Look at this depth, 35 kilometers deep. You guys know what's over here, right? It's a Cascadia subduction zone, and 35 kilometers is right around or just upstream from the slip area, the slow slip tremor that takes place along the Cascadia. So looks like things are kind of strained out here at the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. Let me check out the tremor. I know we checked it yesterday. It showed 0, and we'll check out later tonight once they update this. But the tremor activity has been acting kind of weird compared to years past. We really haven't seen any major tremor events, so that's telling me a couple different things there, that things are very locked and strained there at the subduction zone interface area, which is just offshore, and any pressure that does occur we see resulting in earthquake activity around the strained area. Let me go back here. So this is kind of interesting there with that deeper activity taking place here. Again, 35 kilometers deep into the subduction zone of the Cascadia. This is not a surface quake. Definitely down into the subduction zone. We'll continue to watch that. There was another one, a little bit more shallow from yesterday, roughly in that same area. But there's obviously two distinct quakes, one of more importance because of the depth of the earthquake. Not a whole lot going up into the Pacific Northwest for now, but we will continue to watch the Cascadia subduction zone and see what it wants to do. Reno area, a handful of smaller quakes out there. No major swarming going on. In fact, that area around the Steamboat Springs area, only showing one little microquake there from yesterday. They've had a swarm of activity here recently in the last couple months, but it never resulted in any big quakes or anything, just a little earthquake activity there in a swarm fashion. Further down south into the Ridgecrest area, a handful of earthquakes out here, nothing major. Southern California, roughly the same. We do have one little earthquake here in the hazard zone. Again, I call it the hazard zone personally just because it's an area just off the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault where it's an area to watch. If we start seeing swarming out here, then that thing may decide to go in terms of possibly producing the big one. That's potentially 8.1 magnitude, and we're well overdue out here in terms of some big earthquake activity. So when I see it specifically just on the North American side of the plate boundary, it's a little concerning. But right now, only a 2.7, about 4 o'clock this morning, that earthquake came in. Aside from that, some small swarming out here from yesterday near the Val Vista area, mostly smaller microquakes in that region. A handful of earthquakes up here near the Stanley, Idaho area. A couple 2s and some 1s. Those are from yesterday, though. Nothing going on up here through Yellowstone, but let's double check that for verification purposes here. I'm really not seeing anything. That earthquake there is, I believe that was a 2.7 from somewhere in Idaho. It did show up here across the park, but since then, and that was yesterday, since then we really haven't seen any earthquake activity out here. That one's just offline, it looks like. Yeah, so for the most part, it looks fairly quiet in terms of earthquake activity in this area of the states. Further out and about, Texas, Oklahoma, most of this activity here from yesterday. I did see a handful of earthquakes after midnight, some 2s and some 1s out there in Texas, so a little bit of bouncing back and forth there between the oil fields. Nothing going on across the eastern portion of the country for now. Still seeing a little swarming here just off the coast of the Nicaragua area. They did see a 5.6 here yesterday and a 4.9. Most recent one, though, looks like a 4.3, a little bit further down into the subduction zone of the Middle America Trench, so we'll continue to watch that. They definitely have been swarming out here recently, and a little bit of swarming in a specific location, so this area could be looking at something bigger here soon. South America, not quite as active. Looks like a 3.8 off the coast of Peru and some smaller quakes up and down the Peru-Chile Trench. New Zealand, nothing showing up here across New Zealand. We did see another earthquake, a fairly deep one, into the Tonga Trench here, 553 kilometers deep for that 4.4 coming in just about 2 o'clock this morning. That still leaves a broad area here of openness in terms of seismic gap. Most of the activity today looks like it is accumulating up across the northwestern corner and the eastern section here of the Filipino plate. Let's go check that out and see what's going on. Definitely a little bit more active out here. A 4.8 coming in a couple hours ago, right prior to the subduction zone of the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. And I keep talking about this, how we're well overdue for a big earthquake out here. I'm talking about probably above a 7, maybe even an 8. These guys do get some mega quakes out here. It's a huge subduction zone, and it does not take hundreds of years for stress to build out here across this area of the plate boundary. It's reinforced not only by the Pacific plate pointing the arrows here, but also the North American plate and the Eurasia plate, all put in this area in the crunch zone. And the subduction zone right here of the Kuril-Kamchatka is definitely primed for some big earthquake activity. And seeing this little quake just prior to the subduction zone could be a little sign of potentially things to come there. Japan, couple earthquakes there from today and yesterday. I am seeing another 4.1 coming into the area of Japan right now. Looks like about 60 kilometers deep there from the EMSC model. USGS not picking up on that yet. And also some activity further along the Mariana Trench, some deeper activity taking place down here. Zoom in real quick. Looks like a 4.4 into the northern Mariana Islands, but this is the subduction zone. 259 kilometers deep for that 4.4. Some shallow adjustment taking place prior to that. So this area has been quiet while, the majority of the plate areas have been active. But eventually, if you look at the terms or the movement of the plates here, this is all hitting right against the Mariana Trench and the Izu Trench. So it's just a matter of time before we had started to see activity pick up here, which it looks like it is. Nothing big for now. Let's see. Papua New Guinea did get a little activity here, 5.4, about 4 o'clock this morning. And then some typical activity across the Taiwan area southward into the Indonesia Islands area and the Java Trench. Some deeper activity out here across the area of, looks like eastern Afghanistan, 4.1, 191 kilometers. I paused for a second there because I thought I heard something outside. Some weird noises. 5.2 in the Somalia area. That was last night, it looks like, in the Gulf of Aden. Across here, it's a divergent zone. And let's see what else we got. Minimal activity here across the Mediterranean. It's mostly 2s hitting out there. There's a 3.7 being picked up there by the EMSC now. So we'll have to watch that. With the ongoing eruption and further potential activity across the divergent zones here, we could see possibly some further uptick here across Iceland. But it's one of those things we'll have to watch, see how quick it recharges. But for now, we still have the eruptive activity taking place out here northeast of Grindavik. And as long as that continues, that lava flow field, that line moving down south will continue. All right, let's see what else we got. I know we got a good view now of 3590, or at least the old sunspot, 3590. You guys remember that one? That's the source of a couple X-flares here weeks ago, including the largest X-flare of the solar cycle. There it is, 3590 right here on the eastern limb. It is still a huge sunspot. There is still some complexity with it. We'll have to watch that in the days ahead as it rotates further into the Earth-directed view. And also a sunspot down south here. That's been a source of an M flare recently. We got 2 active regions here we'll have to watch pretty closely. Now, we are getting a little bit of development here across a couple different sunspot regions here that are currently facing the Earth. A little bit of growth overnight, looks like some complexity going on. We'll have to watch these 2 areas. But right now, they're not really posing any major threat. I think most of the threat's going to be coming from these 2 active regions. Old sunspot 3590 and a newer region down south there. unnamed. These are not named yet, but they will get named here very soon. Looking at the UV filter array here does show quite a bit of brightness within that filter, showing some activity out there currently as we speak. Notice the activity has picked up a little bit in terms of spikiness, popcorn type activity on the graph. That what's going on here? Okay. Roughly about here to today's date, you can see a lot of up and down on the graph. That's a good indicator of some unstable sunspots, creating that popcorn type data on the graph. No major flares. The last flare we've seen was that M flare, I think it's an M 2-pointer that hit yesterday from a far side sunspot region, which was this one right here. But it does look like it's currently flaring. We'll have to watch this in the days ahead as it faces Earth a little bit more accurately, lined up, so to speak. 99% chance for a C flare, M flare 30. X flare has been elevated to about 5% chance due to the complexity of these two sunspots coming around the bend. Right now, no major auroras in the forecast. Hopefully we can change that for you guys. Be nice to see some auroras down into the into some of the middle and lower latitudes maybe. We'll see. All right, severe weather outlook today. Not a whole lot going on, folks. Some marginal risk out here across portions of the south. Doesn't look like there's any tornado threat. Most of that's going to be just some wind potential out there associated with these thunderstorms. Thunderstorms out here across the Four Corners area and maybe down even into Southern California as well. Numerical models showing that activity today. Again, threat is limited compared to the past couple days here. I think these folks need a little break out there. California, next storm system knocking on the door. It looks like next weekend, Friday into Saturday. It does open up the storm door for the West Coast, it seems, for a little bit as we get a series of low-pressure systems bringing in a bunch of rain and snow again. So I'm okay with that. And that goes up to about the April 2nd time period. Still very active. A few days shy of the eclipse that happens on the 8th. We'll definitely be covering that more often as we get closer to the date. We're going to be looking at cloud cover percentage possibilities for that total eclipse that will occur, again, April 8th. I will be out there in Texas regardless if it's cloudy or sunny, right? Even if it's cloudy, we may not be able to see the sun being eclipsed, but it will be at least surreal to see it get dark. It'll probably get super dark if it's cloudy. That would be fairly crazy, having an eclipse and being cloudy. I hope for the clearness. I would love to see it again. The last time I seen an eclipse was up here in Central Oregon, 2016, I believe it was, right? I think. Can't remember the exact date, but that total eclipse was pretty awesome. All right, what else we got here, folks? I think that's about it. Again, Iceland activity continuing. Looks like, with the slowness going on of the lava flow, it's going to take a little while for it to reach out to sea. Last night, it was really definitely a lot quicker. So things have slowed down, and we'll just kind of watch it and report back on it. And, of course, if anything major happens here today, we'll report on that as well. It's supposed to be about 80 degrees here in Northern California, so I'm ready for some outdoor time. Going to go outside and get some gardening and stuff like that done today. So we'll be off and on here across the live stream for a little bit. Maybe a little bit later this afternoon we'll jump on and check in. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, folks, and we'll chat you guys soon. Take care.